Ever since I was a kid, Suicune has easily been my favorite legendary Pokemon, and it just so happens to have one of the most beautiful shiny variants out there. So back in July of 2023, I decided I would hunt for it in the games I grew up with, Pokemon FireRed and Leaf Green. But that would be easier said than done. The odds of encountering a shiny Pokemon in these games are 1 in 8,192. So for your average shiny legendary hunt, it takes 40 hours just to hit odds. However, you've read the title. This would be no ordinary shiny hunt. You see, Suicune doesn't just show up somewhere in the overworld like it does in Heart Gold and Soul Silver. No, that would be much too convenient. In this game, Suicune is treated as a roaming Pokemon, and will move between the various routes of Kanto whenever you cross a route boundary. But instead of tracking it down, I employed the same method I used to find it as a kid. I used a repel to block unwanted spawns, then biked through this patch of grass and into the gatehouse, over and over and over again until it finally showed up 10 minutes later. Not shiny, of course. At this rate, it will take 1,365 hours just to hit odds, and had I crunched the numbers right then and there, you probably would not be watching this video right now. So it's a good thing I instead reset my game to try again. Now, it's important to note that unlike other legendary Pokemon, you can re-encounter roamers in the wild without actually resetting your game. However, for shiny hunting purposes, do not do that. That is a terrible idea. You know how when you damage or status a roamer in battle, it retains those effects when you re-encounter it? That's because it's the exact same Pokemon that you saw earlier. Therefore, if it wasn't shiny the first time, it never will be. So, instead of wasting your time encountering the same Suicune over and over, you instead have to reset your game to before you release the roamer into your world. But that's alright, the reset is pretty fast in Gen 3. It only takes about 10 seconds to get back into the game. Oh, and then I guess we have to listen to the Celio guy yap for 20 seconds to generate the roamer. And because the generation point is on the Sevi Islands, we have to take the boat back to the mainland, then fly to Pewter, and it's now been over a minute before we've stepped foot in the grass. I've done my fair share of shiny hunts, but this was unlike anything I'd ever attempted. Thankfully, not every reset was as bad as the first one, and after an hour of hunting, we had hit 11 encounters. While I was relieved to see that expected time to hit odds come down, 744 hours is still a diabolical amount of time to devote to one shiny Pokemon. Barring some absurd luck, I knew deep down there was no way I was going to see this hunt through unless I found a way to speed things up. And while there weren't any methods back in the day to increase your shiny odds, we can always decrease the expected time of the hunt by introducing more games. If you were to hunt on 4 different consoles at the same time, we'd hit odds 4 times as fast. Or so I thought. You see, in order to control all 4 of my games at once, I used 4 DSs equipped with a controller mod. While it was ergonomic to hunt this way, it had a glaring flaw. If I'm controlling all of the games through one controller, I have to wait until all 4 Suicune have been found before I can reset. And I was immediately shown just how big of an issue this would be. It took 20 minutes to complete my first batch of resets because the last Suicune was bottlenecking me so hard. After a full hour of using the 4 system method, we only saw 13 Suicune, a far cry away from my predicted 44. As devastating as that was, it was still technically better, so I kept on going. Fortunately, that first session seemed to be a bit of an outlier, as my average would improve to about 18 Suicune an hour. But I wasn't exactly enjoying the process. My games would frequently desync, and I'd drop repels without noticing. Dropping the repel might not seem like a big deal, but if the repel drops in the grass, we'll get a random encounter. Not only does this slow us down, but that random encounter also has a chance to be shiny. For those of you thinking that I have nothing to worry about because of how rare that would be, you'd be surprised to know what's happened to someone before.
Oh my god.
But despite my frustrations with this new setup, it's the best I've got, and after my first week of grinding, I had reached 250 encounters. That may not sound like a lot, because it isn't, but that equates to about 15 hours of hunting. It's difficult for me to portray just how long and boring these resets are, because if I were to show you just a singular reset in full, I've no doubt you would click off this video. So, while I had tried my best to commit to at least 1 hour of hunting every day, that pace would slow down to a crawl, and it would take me 3 months just to hit 1,000 encounters. But in November of 2023, I had a plan to get my motivation back on track. I started hunting for the Kanto starters. The idea was that if I went so long without any level of dopamine from shiny hunting, of course I was going to burn out. So, by introducing some casual hunts back in and seeing a few shinies, I would hopefully find that motivation to hunt for Suicune again. And well, this idea backfired. Big time. In just 1 month of casual hunting, I found 5 shiny starters, if you include the squirrel I failed. No! And did 31,000 resets in total. The The juxtaposition between the two made the Suicune hunt feel suffocatingly slow. I was sick of my games desyncing, the fourth Suicune taking forever to show up, and I couldn't bear to sit through another conversation with Celio. So, I quit the hunt. A few months went by, and I'd occasionally think about just hunting Suicune in a different game, but ultimately I couldn't bring myself to because none of the other shiny Suicune sprites could hold a candle to the one in FireRed and Leaf Green. So until I somehow found the motivation to pick this hunt back up, it would continue to collect dust. But then, on March 2nd, 2024, I caught wind of an alternative method to hunt this roamer. A method that could solve these several grievances that were keeping me away from it, though it requires a bit of setup. In fact, I would have to use an entirely new save file to do it. So I reset my save on a Japanese FireRed and started prepping. If you want to do this yourself, it doesn't have to be a Japanese cartridge, but there's two benefits to using one that I'll go over later. For those unaware, the roamer that spawns in your game is tied to the starter that you choose. Because we're targeting Suicune, I made sure to choose Charmander. Then I played through the game as normal, defeated the Elite Four, and began the Sevi Island postgame. Now, in order to unlock all of the islands, you need to register 60 Pokemon into your dex. And it is recommended that you avoid registering any of these Pokemon. All of them are lighter than Bulbasaur, and I'll explain why this matters soon. After finishing the postgame and receiving the Sapphire from Team Rocket, we're ready to save in front of Celio and start the hunt. The method I wanted to try out involves checking the dex for Suicune's exact location. If you've ever used the FireRed Pokédex before, this might seem like a bad idea for two reasons. Unlike in Ruby and Sapphire, you can't instantly get to the bottom of the dex to reach the roamer, so you spend a good chunk of time scrolling to the bottom. This alone would be manageable, but again, unlike Ruby and Sapphire, the dex won't save your spot the next time you go to check it, so you have to scroll down to it each and every time, making this method way too time consuming. I don't know why Game Freak insists on constantly cutting quality of life features from their games, because may I remind you, Sapphire and Ruby came out before FireRed and Leaf Green, so instead, we're forced to use these quirky little subcategories. There's a few ways to do it, and you can check out this video by HangarOfRoam to see all the options, but I went with the lightest mode. Assuming you correctly avoided registering any of these Pokemon lighter than Bulbasaur, it should be the first on the list. If you then view Bulbasaur and hit R, you'll be taken right to Suicune, or whatever roamer you're searching for. Oh, and obviously in order to view Suicune's entry, you'll need to have it registered in your dex, so be sure to trade to normal and over before starting the hunt. Okay, so now I have the ability to see the roamer's location, but how do we track it down? Well, first it's important to know that there are two methods of movement that roamers have, both of which are influenced by player action. First, if the player crosses a route boundary, Suicune will move to a route adjacent to the one it was just on. And second, if the player enters a building, flies, or teleports, Suicune's position will randomize. With that in mind, anytime the roamer is on the other side of Kanto, it would be way too time consuming to bike all the way to its location. And if we try to fly closer, it will randomize its position. So, instead, we're going to wait until it comes closer to us, and use what's called the Viridian method. I'm going to give a very bare bones explanation of this method, but if you're interested in the exact protocol and seeing it more in action, I highly encourage you to check out Ghost Hunter Ritchie's guide on it, as it helped me out a ton when learning this method. So, as the name would suggest, as soon as we get back to the mainland, we fly to Viridian City and check to see where Suicune is. We're looking for it to be on one of these key routes. If it's not, you're going to enter and exit the nearest house to randomize it until it is. It should be noted that for whatever reason, entering the Pokemon Center or Pokemart will not randomize the roamer's location, so avoid these buildings. After about a minute and a half of randomizing, we see it's now on Route 1. Now, if we were to go straight to Route 1, it'd just move and we'd miss it. So instead, we want to try and predict where it's going and meet it on an adjacent route. According to the guide, traveling north to Route 2 is best here. Once you cross the route boundary, you check the dex again to see if you got lucky, and in this case, we did. Not every reset goes nearly that well though. For instance, it could have gone to Route 22 or 21 instead, but even then we could continue the chase by going straight to Route 22. The trail usually doesn't run cold unless it decides to move all the way down to Route 20 or all the way up to Route 4. Those are the 2 points of no return, so if that happens, you just have to randomize it again until it returns to a good route. Now I say usually because for whatever reason, every time you cross a route boundary, the roamer has a 1 in 16 chance to randomize its position anyways. This will definitely be your biggest frustration in this method because you can be doing everything right, but at any moment it can just teleport to somewhere random on the map. But even still, I will take this method any day over the gatehouse. On average, the Viridian method gets you about 17 encounters per hour on just one system. That's well above the gatehouse method, and just one encounter behind the 4x setup that I had going before. But that's a trade-off I was willing to take, because now that I was just on one system, I no longer had to worry about those dreaded desyncs or repel drops anymore. Oh, and remember how I said that Japanese carts are optimal here? Well, one of the two benefits is that Celio's dialogue goes by much faster now. That alone shaves off about 5 seconds per reset. Admittedly, this method is not for everyone because it requires much more focus, but I didn't actually view that as a bad thing. Back when I was using the gatehouse, it felt really draining just mindlessly biking up and down hoping for you to land the encounter. With dex checking, I now had much more control, and it felt like I was playing a minigame where I was literally hunting down the roamer. This method single-handedly rekindled my drive for this hunt, and just 2 weeks later, I had hit 2,000 encounters. Later that month, Ritchie had been testing out the Pallet Town method, and the encounters per hour were looking promising. It's basically the same as the Viridian method, where if it's on any of these north routes, you just bike to Viridian and follow the standard protocol. But because we start in Pallet Town, if Suicune is on Route 20, you now have a chance at encountering it by going south to Route 21. By adding Route 20 to the list of good routes, that slightly decreases the average number of dex checks you need before tracking it down. So I swapped over to this method for the rest of the hunt. And despite playing on just one system, the encounters really started to fly by. So just 1 month after returning to the hunt, I'd reached yet another milestone.
Hey everyone, decided to do a little update of this hunt. As you see, I'm 3,000 resets in. Today is April 2nd, 2024, and I started this hunt about 9 months ago in July of last year. That being said, about 1,000 of the last 3,000 resets have been done in this past month alone. And yeah, of course, I'm using the pallet method now, which is really cool. It's nice. It's a little bit faster. Still not fast, still very slow. So I'll probably be taking a little break from this hunt because I don't want to burn out, because I do want to get this thing at some point. And on the break, I'll probably be starting the Kanto Legends in FireRed Leaf Green. I got to do that for my shiny living dex, so I figured, hey, why not get started on that now? There we go. Okay, we got it. Alrighty, so yeah, that reset took just shy of 5 minutes. That's kind of middle of the pack. They can take about 10 minutes if you're really unlucky and it just keeps randomizing on you, or it can take under 2. So yeah, it definitely a lot of variation, and it is, of course, is not shiny. So yeah, maybe I'll do another update video at 4,096 at half odds, or maybe I get it before then. We'll see.
So I put it on the back burner to work on those legends. But that break proved to be way shorter than I expected. I found 5 total shinies in that video, and the average number of resets per shiny was much lower than the 3k we had already logged for Suicune. It was great to get so many early shinies, but I'd have much preferred that luck go towards Suicune. So after just 10 days off, it was time to pick up the roaming grind again. Admittedly, I was quite preoccupied with editing that Legends video, so I didn't get as much done in April as I would have hoped. But by the time May rolled around, the Kanto Legends video had been uploaded, and my free time had been cleared up, which was perfect timing because I really wanted to find the shiny before Safari Week. Safari Week 2024 was set for June 22nd, so I had 52 days left. At this point in time, I had done nearly 2,000 combined resets with the dex checking method, so I felt pretty confident in my abilities. Confident enough to introduce another game. One Pallet Town method, and one Gatehouse method. Because I was controlling both games independently this time, I could reset the Gatehouse game as soon as the Suicune was found. As a result, my pace had jumped from about 17 to 26 Suicune an hour. With a pseudo deadline set, more free time, a faster pace, and no shortage of motivation, I locked into this hunt like I'd never had before.
Okay, we have hit half odds, 4,096 for Suicune. Hopefully, I am over halfway done this hunt. Definitely a grind. I've been putting in the hours, been really motivated to find this thing. Of course, no luck yet, but we'll see. It's just a matter of time. So yeah, I'll skip ahead till we find these. Okay, that is not usual. We did actually get the right one first. Now we just gotta find the dex check game. So again, this one's more consistent, but sometimes you do get lucky and just get it first on the Gatehouse game. And there we go. There's our second one. So that took 4 minutes for 2, which is really, really good. Again, this is a lot faster than we were doing before. But yeah, not shiny. We're gonna keep going, and yeah, hopefully I am pretty close to this shiny.
My motivation for this hunt did not falter after hitting half odds. In fact, with each passing reset, it became all I could think about. In the shiny hunting community, people will frequently talk about their dream shinies. And while I had my own list of these dream shinies, I had never actually dreamt about getting them. But this hunt was consuming me to the point where I literally started dreaming about seeing that icy blue shiny slide across my screen. And on May 9th, 2024, that dream became a reality.
Holy shit! Oh my god! Shiny Suicune! Oh my... Oh... I cannot believe that that is on my game right now. I gotta save. I gotta run and save. Holy shit. Oh my god.
But we're not done yet. We still have to catch it. While that may have looked incredibly cursed seeing me flee from this roamer, again, because the roamer's shininess is determined back during the Celio cutscene, that exact shiny Suicune will still be roaming on our game, and we're free to save. That makes specifically shiny Suicune extremely difficult to fail in these games. I say specifically Suicune because only Entei and Raikou know the move Roar, and for whatever reason if they use that move on you, they'll flee the battle and they'll disappear from your game completely. You can counteract this by bringing a soundproof Pokemon like Mr. Mime, or by playing on a Japanese cartridge where Roar is not bugged. None of that is a concern for us though, and all we have to worry about now is how to catch this thing. In preparation for the catch, I traded over some dive balls because they match Suicune's shiny palette perfectly, and sketched a special moveset onto my Smeargle to help catch it. And from there, I went live to catch it on stream.
Yeah, shiny Suicune. Oh, it's so sick. It's so sick. I went full degenerate mode the past 2 months, I'd say. It was like all I was doing. And it paid off. Why am I leading Staryu? Okay, we're gonna catch a first dive ball, it's fine. Yeah, okay, now. We will be right back. There it is. Okay. Here is shiny Suicune, round 2. Okay, so this is mean look. This is going to make it so it cannot flee. Very important. We don't want it to dip. Then, this should be Thunder Wave. I think I ordered this right. Yeah. Thunder Wave. Gonna paralyze it. And then we are going to Super Fang 3 times. Alright, now just for the flex, we're gonna go into Kyogre. Because I traded over thinking we would need it. We don't, clearly. It does like no damage, but that's okay.
For some reason I was under the impression that dive balls would work in surfing encounters like they do in Gen 4, so I thought we had about a 5% chance to catch it per ball. But of course in Gen 3 that hadn't been implemented yet, so I was actually sitting at a 1.2% per ball, which made the 40 balls that I prepared quite insufficient.
Yeah, so we'll see. We got one more ball. Damn, that's so annoying. Yeah, this is cursed, but we're resetting. And it's fine because it's a roamer.
And so I had to track it down one last time.
Okay. Take 3. Here we go. Part of me wants to leave it roaming, but I really want to catch it. Two, 3. Okay, I have had so much time to think of a name. I know exactly what we're doing. We have 5 characters to work with. Naturally, it will be dubbed Dog. Let's go Shoremon. First thing we gotta do. Protesting here. It is indeed a dog. I don't care what the designer said. Don't care. It looks like a dog. It's so cool. With the blue border and everything and the dive ball. Alright, here we go. Oh my god. Shiny Suicune. That back sprite is insane. That looks so good.
Now, if by chance this video has inspired anyone to try their hand at this hunt, I would recommend using the Viridian method because after I finished my hunt, it was determined that Viridian is more consistent. And again, definitely check out the resources in the description. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you all in the next one.